Hey, Bright Lights, it's Angela. Welcome to a brand new feature on the Architecting channel. As you know, we are a community that absolutely supports your well-being, and I am a big advocate for helping you claim success on your terms without the overwhelm, stress, and burnout. Part of how we do that is by understanding what constitutes well-being. It's a foundational part of my work as a practicing architect and the research I do in something called salutogenesis, or design for well-being. At its root, salutogenesis is about the resources that we have to cope. The more resources we have, the more resilience we can have in our lives. Now, while we can't control what the people that use spaces we design bring with them from their personal lives, we can absolutely consciously design resources within the built environment that can help them function better. Whether it's a student learning better, a clinician experiencing less stress in a healthcare environment, or somebody just looking to have a rejuvenating retail experience, design absolutely does make a difference. And I want to focus on how that happens with this new series. So I've developed a series of cards in a brand new deck that deal with topics of salutogenesis. The first part of the deck has to do with the foundational concepts or the research behind it. So there's a whole series of cards on that. But there's also 5 aspects of salutogenesis, which are the specific things that we can look at in a design toolkit. Those are based on the aspects of sense of coherence, how manageable, meaningful, and comprehensible our space is, self-efficacy, how empowering someone feels in a space, prospect and refuge, how much psychological safety somebody feels within a space, biophilia, how connected they feel to the natural world, and finally, relaxation response. What are the things we are building in that quiet the stressed out mind and allow somebody to have that reset? So what I'm going to do every time in this series is I'm going to draw one card from the foundational concepts part of the deck and one card that is one of the aspects and talk about it. My hope in doing this is that you get the opportunity to learn a little bit more, and then it gives you a prompt in your own work, something to think specifically about for the near future. So today, the cards that I have drawn are normalization, which is about our ability to get used to something, whether it's bad or good, and it stops being something that we notice. I have the image of a pot heating up on a stove because what initially was in the pot could have been room temperature, and the heat increases so gradually, it's easy not to notice until we reach a boiling point. So, how can we challenge that in our work for the week? Things that might be more negative qualities in a typical way that a space works, how could we challenge that status quo? In the aspects range, I pulled the card for social choice. So this falls under the aspect of prospect and refuge and is really about design for extroverts and introverts. So often we take a one size fits all to the design of spaces. However, introverts and extroverts experience choice very differently. Introverts often want to have alone time or not be in the fray, while extroverts thrive on that. In addition, different groups of different sizes may need to be accommodated. So, what are we doing to put in that flexibility, those moments that can feel socially private but still part of the same space? how can we think a little bit differently about how we design space to add in more social choice? Even if you are not an architect or a designer, you can put these principles into place in your everyday life. So think about the things in your life that you are tolerating that are ready to change. And what about your environment could be adapted to make your life easier? It might just be rearranging something in your space or asking for different accommodations at your job or buying something that is more ergonomic for you. When we think about social choice, really feel into what your needs are in the moment and look for ways that you can have space that matches how you're feeling. If you want to feel a little bit more protected, secluded because you're in a contemplative mood, look for spaces that cocoon and surround you. If you're feeling more ready to engage in socialization, look for more open spaces where people will gather. But you have a choice. That's what's important to remember. You get to set up your space in the way that best suits how you're feeling in the moment so you can show up as your best self in that space. Those are the prompts for this session. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your feedback because this is something I hope to do on a regular basis so that we can all have a different kind of dialogue about well-being in the built environment. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe so that you'll get a notification every time a new episode comes out. Thanks so much for joining me today.